Hey everyone, welcome to Social Ledger Report. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market.
Hey, my name's Leon Hitchens. I'm the we'll get that one right
Uh-oh.
one day. The chief marketing officer here at Social Market.
Yeah, and this is Social Ledger Report, episode 28. So, welcome to another episode. We actually have quite a few things to talk about. I know we've gotten some feedback from the last few episodes. So, first of all, thank you all for it's more positive. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for sticking with us. This week, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about the market sentiment. Like, the AI bubble is possibly bursting. The government shutdown actually opened again. So, we're going to talk about some more development stories on that. And then Bitcoin actually fell down 100,000. So, that's kind of interesting. And then
95.9 right now.
95.9. Wow. Yeah. So, 9,000, 95,900. And then Sam Altman is possibly asking the government for a bailout, which I have mixed feelings on. In principle, I don't agree with it, but we'll talk more about that here in a moment. But before we continue, just to stop you there, make sure you like the video if you like it, subscribe if you want to follow these kind of episodes, these kind of content that we're delivering for you. Dislike if you dislike it, just let us know what you think overall. But with that being said, we've actually been doing some development on the app, a lot of development, I should say. And we've talked to some customers that have expressed, like, hey, this is like GTA 6, it's taking so goddamn long to release this, like, what's happening? And I'm like, dude, we're literally overhauling the entire thing. Anyway, so this is me going through the app right now, so I'm going to log in, which if you've seen past episodes, you would see that you could just kind of access the app and be thrown into the market section. But now you're thrown into the wallet section. And this is one of my personal wallets, by the way. So just don't take my money. So if we
We'll
go
try
into
not
the
to.
market,
Oh, you got some world coin in there. I love that.
I do. I have a lot more. This is kind of like me playing with it.
Yeah, it's
My
the
personal
developer
account.
play.
Okay, so let me be clear. This is my developer personal account, which is separate from my main personal account, which is where I have at least 200 WorldCoin. But that's just me putting my money there. Man, we should probably, for future reference, talk about like this is where we're putting our money. Like I have 200 WorldCoin. I wouldn't mind showing you guys what my personal bags are, and I don't know if you would feel the same, Leon, but just to show you all, like this is our investment strategy. It's not the most extravagant. It's not like Wall Street level, but this is how we make money, and maybe you can like learn a thing or two. So,
I'm down.
uh,
But honestly, most of mine's pretty basic. So down to show it.
So side note, tomorrow as of recording this video, November 17th, Monad is releasing it's another layer 1 Ethereum based. Well, it's layer 1, but it's kind of interesting. Most layer 2s are Ethereum based, but this is supposed to be Ethereum based as another layer 1, which is really interesting. So I'm actually putting a lot of money there, and you guys should check it out. Not investment advice, right? So you go into the markets page, and this is where you can kind of see everything. I'm running this as a local instance right now, so this is not available yet. It will be available tomorrow, November 17th. Anyways, so this is the market overview here. And yeah, dude, extreme fear right now. I wonder why. And it's still
So
Bitcoin season, inflation's at 3.
yeah, like it ties all to this government shutdown. So liquidity is what's exiting the market right now. I've got somewhat of a high level overview of this. I'm, not an economist. I, I did do some shorts on Bitcoin when the government shut down.
Really?
Yes, not a ton. Just a little bit playing with it. It paid off. I'm doing some calls right now. I think essentially, I think Bitcoin and all this is going to go up. However, market sentiment matters more than what's actually happening, and that fear and greed index is super important. Like essentially, and this is my understanding on it, Jr. Is we had like essentially potential growth, government shut down, so stuff wasn't getting approved, things weren't moving forward, and then oftentimes when government shut down all that, people go to safe assets. Gold is an example of that. You also have like TGA trains. You've got rate cuts coming. There's ETF approvals all in the push, but everybody kind of hit that under 100K, and that fear is what drives it. If the market sentiment is that things are not going well, then things are just not going to go well. That's generally how it works in the end. And the other part that I think is playing a big part of it is perpetual, perps, like the ability to bet on one side of the market. The more pressure you have on shorts, the more that this market's going to go down. I don't think that people are going to keep shorting this. Like, you could short it, maybe it hits 90,000, but like, you're only going to make a few extra thousand unless you're leveraging really high. And if you're leveraging really high and you're going like that, you have to know something's happening, and I don't know if something's happening. It's like, right there, MicroStrategy. They're still buying Bitcoin.
Strategy. Yeah, so
Well,
let's
where
talk
does
about
that feed
strategy,
from?
actually.
Where does that feed
sorry?
from? Where does that feed from?
Uh,
That it's still called MicroStrategy.
Trading View. Ah, shit. Well, I can click on it, I think,
I'm
but
just curious if
damn it. So it broke on me here on live. That's kind of
because you're on
embarrassing.
local.
I am on local actually, so that's why. But it's pulling all that data from TradingView, which is publicly available. Anyone can use it. But
I just wonder if they haven't changed their name on there, or why
yeah,
why
they
they're
have the new
still.
logo. Look, here it is. So MicroStrategy, right below $200 their stock. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't work on my local. It should work
I
on people's
wonder.
actual production app.
So I just looked it up. I wonder if it's because the ticker is still MSTR, and
That's a
and
good
that's
point, dude. Wow,
that's the
I didn't
reason.
think
I was
about.
just more than anything curious out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Um, Wait, so I'm a little conflicted. Damn. I'm seeing all the discrepancies here in the app now that I'm developing it. And I'm kind of embarrassed, but screw it, we're gonna roll with it. So,
Roll with it.
Bitcoin and MicroStrategy, they kind of overlap, right? So let's talk about Bitcoin. It's according to this 93,941. How bad?
Man,
How? Here's my question, Leon. How bad are your bags impacted? Are you
oh
like
man,
crying
like most of
almost?
my stuff is in the core ones. I'm mainly in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a little bit in Solana. Just because I cashed out of Litecoin, thinking Litecoin was gonna, do something at some point. But this is very interesting.
Dude, market activity shows a lot of motherfuckers are selling. Some are buying. Some are buying like a large amount, like $1,410, like not that long ago. This only pulls most recent data. A lot of them are buying in. I mean, it's kind of a mixed thing. I would just buy, dude. This is probably like. I don't want people to think I'm telling you what to do when it comes to this stuff, but like I'm gonna be buying Bitcoin recently just because I mean, anything below 100,000, I think it's affordable. Even Michael Saylor himself says, buy Bitcoin. But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be known as that guy. I want to be known as the guy
I,
who is like transparent
yeah, I
on his
think
expenses.
so. What all the analysts are saying right now is it's going to hit probably a bottom of 84K.
Okay.
I think in the long haul, what most people should be doing, like, don't go fucking take a second mortgage on your house and dump, money into it. But
Right.
take some cost averaging. Right now is a prime opportunity. You got an extra 5K that you were like, I was going to invest, buy some Bitcoin. Like, I think on the long term, Bitcoin is going to do really well. I don't know if it's going to be $1 million. I still don't know if I believe that. I also don't know if I believed 100K back in the day. Like, I think I was a little skeptical on all of this, but I think on the part of it, it's going to keep growing. It's only going to get more rare. It's only going to get harder to compute. Without some government intervention, like, I think this is going to go up. They're talking right now about zero tax on crypto companies. Like, there's so many
Yes.
things that could push for this. I think just you've got a market sentiment and a sell off that's happening. At some point, MicroStrategy is going to have to liquidate their crypto too. Like, I don't know what their bottom or their mark price is. I think they bought on margin and equity, and if that equity, if it's equity, I bet you that they probably have to be at like 30, 40,000 a coin to have to liquidate. So they might be safe, but man, some of these other ones out there, I wonder if companies bought on margins or bought on loans, and like essentially if you lend out on Bitcoin at some point, like all these loans on Coinbase are going to be margin called, and you're going to have to, you won't have enough to pay the
Yes.
interest. You're going to have to liquidate, and that could be a bigger problem for the market.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about MicroStrategy here in a moment, but I think it was good to kind of set the precedent with Bitcoin in mind. Because as we all, I don't know if everyone knows, like you, the audience, but Strategy by Michael Saylor is really just aping Bitcoin. It's kind of like some crypto bros on Twitter saying, like, hey, dude, let's just buy this crypto and then make it a whole entire business. I don't know what strategy was or MicroStrategy was before Bitcoin, right? I don't have that familiarity. And a lot of people might not know either, just because they came to the front of the stage by saying, hey, yeah, we're buying Bitcoin. That's our entire strategy. But I asked Grok, like, what's the whole thing happening right now with Strategy's position now that it fell down 100,000? Because as you may already know, Strategy and a lot of crypto companies bought Bitcoin when it was on the top. So it's down, not massively, but it's still down. And the fears, according to the index of fear and greed, if you look here in the markets, it's possibly going to go down even further, just because people are going to continue to sell. So I asked Grok about it, and it says MicroStrategy's aggressive Bitcoin accumulation was a hot topic, which, again, we already said that, with updates on purchases, its holdings reaching over 640,000 Bitcoins. 3% of the entire goddamn supply. And strategies like preferred stock issuance for funding, Post clarified not selling despite wallet moves, with yields at 26.1 year to date and potentially for more buys. So, I mean, it makes sense. They haven't taken a huge loss, it seems, because they've been buying Bitcoin for a while now. Even year to date, it's up at 26%. Yeah, so strategy Bitcoin position is kind of interesting. I don't know what else to talk about that. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
No, more than anything, I'm worried where Bitcoin goes. Like, this could be a pivotal moment for what the United States is doing for crypto. Like, maybe Bitcoin doesn't become like the greatest, but also like this could just be a price correction. Like, maybe Bitcoin never was meant to be at that price. Like this could be a market correction on where the sentiment is right now. Like, maybe we hover around 90 to 100K for a few years, just like what Bitcoin did in the past. It went all the way to what, 50, 60 grand back in the day, and then dropped down to 20 and stood at 20 forever. Like,
Right.
we could see something like that happening right now. Maybe 100K wasn't where the price needed to hold, and we could have a sliding scale over the next couple of years, and then all of a sudden it goes to 200K. I think that's more possible than Bitcoin going low and staying low for forever. Money's getting pushed into it. I think liquidity after it hits with the government shutdown, it's going to take a little bit of time. But there is a chart on X, and did I send that to you?
Okay. I don't
Did
think
you
so.
see that one?
No, I didn't get it. You may
Let me
want
see
to
if
pull it out for us.
Find it. So this is what I saw out there is the last two times the government shutdown ended, Bitcoin ripped 700 and 300%. This is a possibility that could happen. Like, history repeats itself often. We're right here. Every time liquidity exit the market, and hey man, if we get stimmy checks, like most people below $100,000 could get a stimulus check. I don't know if I'll qualify in there. Like, I hope that there's a higher limit for married couples. But if I get a stimmy check, it's going straight into crypto again. Like, I could also see that happen with a ton of people. So if the government gets back to the normalcy, doesn't invade Venezuela, or start some other crazy thing happens in the world, I could see Bitcoin flying. I could also just see MicroStrategy using this as an opportunity and buying a shit ton more crypto and knowing something that none of us know. But it's kind of yet to be seen. Like, this crash is happening over the weekend, so it's an interesting part. But I believe this chart is a history repeats itself moment.
In some instances, I think and this is the tricky part. Crypto markets are open every day of the week, and stock markets are only open during the week. So what I've noticed is sometimes just ETFs, indexes, they'll usually perform almost in parallel to how crypto performs, usually Bitcoin. I have this position. I'm following inverse Kramer index. I'm using Autopilot, by the way, not an endorsement. I wish, just because I really find the product pretty cool. It's down like 10%. Or excuse me, it's down $10, which is like a very small amount. It's like about 1-2%. But, you know, it's it's not doing too well. I thought it would have been doing better, but man, fear right now is in everyone's mind. I think it's really interesting how massive this government shutdown was. Not just for, I mean, obviously it's very detrimental for the workers, and this is where I feel really bad for it. I know people who actually work in the airports. I don't know what the name of the position is, but you know, one of my fiance's coworkers has a husband who controls air traffic. I'm not sure the name of the position, and his job was
Air
impacted
traffic
because of the government
controller.
shutdown.
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so thank you. So, man, he wasn't getting paid for like 43 days or something. So, I think that's how long the government shutdown was, 43 days.
Yeah, it's the longest in history. Beat Trump's other one. Like,
Yeah.
in some ways, the Democrats, they might have been winning politically in some views, but inevitably they lost and caved and didn't get what they wanted, and like they were hurting
They
real
still fucking cave,
people.
dude.
Yeah, they were hurting real people to have no win. I think that
Yep,
in my view they've lost the plot.
they did.
And I think that impact's huge. It's not just about there. Like there's a ton of people that work for the federal government. It's the largest employer in the United States. There was so many people
Yes.
not getting paid. The U.S. military wasn't getting paid. Some police, the federal government police weren't getting paid. Like there's just. I think we're gonna see this market rebound and sentiment go into a better spot. Disney just stopped fighting with YouTube. Like there's so many little parts here that on the
Wait, what do you
macro
mean?
and micro level, YouTube and Disney weren't you couldn't view Disney on YouTube TV.
Oh, I didn't know that. Dude, first of all, fuck
Is that a
Disney.
rock
I've been
on
so.
top of you?
Oh, kind of. Yeah, it's pretty massive.
Right
It's
now,
not
but
the only
yeah,
massive
like
thing, I'll tell you that much. I'm kidding. You were saying?
that Bitcoin turbulence, there's a bunch of outflows, alt rallies, we've got tariffs, like there's just so many things happening that it in some ways we could be a little bit in a bubble hype. Like, I know we wanted to talk
Yes.
about AI bubbles here. Like there's a Wall Street skepticism of crypto in some ways. They're now adopting it. Like this is the first time that they're going to revolutionize the financial system. But it took
Yes.
crypto better part of 10 years to get here. Like
It really did.
it's been a long driver there. Trump inevitably was the one who made that change, and what a character to bring that level of change. And the only reason is because they all got debanked. You know, like they were just
Yeah.
like, we can't have that anymore. So it's no different than this AI bubble that we're kind of seeing. Like we're seeing a lot of overhyped AI companies and funds shift around and talk about it. Like I don't know, you want to start talking about this AI bubble. Like it is a
Dude,
dot-com style bubble in some ways.
there's this chart that I shared with you that it famously became popular on Twitter. At least that's where I think the original uh, post came from. Now, let me see if I can pull it out real quick. Well, couldn't find it on Twitter, but I found it on Instagram. Some of you, the viewer, might be able to, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is kind of how it looks like. But if you're watching this on audio, let me just explain a little bit. So here's how the AI bubble is being created. You have literally circles, like big circles, that have like all these different arrows pointing to another company as far as the involvement. There's different colored, arrows here. Like there's one for hardware or software, there's one for investment, there's one for services, and another one for venture capital or like investments. And those are just like different associations within every bubble or every company that is represented in the bubble. So Nvidia, and this is probably the biggest winner here because it built the shovels. I saw somewhere, and this is a side note, I saw somewhere that I think it was a YouTube video. While Nvidia is probably profiting the most, it's the most profitable company right now in the world. It's about 5 trillion. It says here 4.5 trillion, but I think this is a bit outdated. $5 trillion, it's how much it's worth. They actually put in a lot of money. According to this chart, they put investment capital on XAI, on Figure AI, Mistral, and then they also gave kind of like the most involvement here is hardware or software with OpenAI, with Microsoft, with well, no, a lot of them are just using NVIDIA as a software, as software and hardware. You know, like the chips, everything. But NVIDIA gives out an investment to smaller companies like well, Intel's not a small one, but it gives it to Intel, it gives it to Nscale, OpenAI, and there's that famous thing that happened where NVIDIA proposed to give OpenAI $1 billion in investment or something to that level, and then OpenAI came around and gave that money to AMD, and then that money came back to NVIDIA because they were buying chips. It's a clusterfuck. It's an inbreeding market, as I like to call it. You know, these guys are just sharing the same fluids, sharing the same money. It's kind of weird, man. But
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Like, obviously, if your largest buyer is somebody that you work with often, like investments should flow back and forth to make it make sense. But this seems like just a little bit too much. Like,
yep.
What happened if OpenAI fails? And there's a strong possibility that they're not the ones that are going to win. Like, Anthropic is crushing it. Gemini right now, Polymarket. I don't know if you want to pull up Polymarket. Go look at the best AI right now. I bet you it's Gemini or Anthropic. Maybe
wait.
Grok shows up in the list, but
Which company has the best AI model end of year? Dude,
yeah.
I was looking for this market like earlier this week, and I couldn't find it. Is it like just new?
I don't know.
Let's see. Which company has the second best? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so you
which
gotta
one's the first one?
go back one.
What do you mean, like back
Go back
page?
a window. Yeah, hit the first one. Or largest company. No, largest company. Can you search AI one more time? Oh no, that's the one down there. It's the which company has best AI model in of 2025. I want that one. The fourth one down.
Got it. Yeah, so it's this one.
Yeah. See, like right now, Google's winning. Gemini has gotten actually very good, and one of the reasons I actually believe
Yeah.
Gemini's gotten really good is because they render JavaScript.
What do you mean?
So when their crawlers are going to the web, some of these other crawlers like OpenAI will not render JavaScript, from my understanding. But
Can you
Google's
explain it to me in crayon eating terms, just for the viewers
they
to
render
also
the
be able to follow
code
them?
fully. So most of the websites are built in what's called JavaScript. They're like React.
Yep.
It's the code backend. Most of that code does not render the text normally. It doesn't show the
Okay.
text to the crawler in the code. Google and Anthropic, I believe, both render the actual code of JavaScript. So they're able to see the website like a human can see it. That's the best way to compare it. And I think that's why they're winning. One of the studies that recently came out was OpenAI's data when it was crawled from the internet, hallucinations like got cut like by 80-90%.
Jeez.
But the
When was
training
this?
data was what it was a research thing. The training data out there that was fed into like ChatGPT was actually what was causing it to hallucinate. But real life
Okay.
data helped it not hallucinate. So I think there's a real possibility that like OpenAI could just go belly up at some point if their model just is not as good. And man, Google's crushing it, Anthropic's crushing it. In some way, XAI is really doing good. I think in a different kind of sphere of what Google and Anthropic are trying to do. I think they're much better for current events and all of that. But Gemini has access to all of Google's first party data, and that data is valuable. They can read every email that you do. They can see where you search.
Yeah.
Like that's something that OpenAI is starting to get, where you connect all your connectors and it's feeding that data, but I don't know if it's training off that data.
You know what's interesting? Berkshire Hathaway, what's his name?
Warren
Rich
Buffett.
guy. Thank you. Warren Buffett himself. What's that?
You just call him rich guy. I love that.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
As
let
soon
me
as
be
you
more
said
specific.
it, rich guy, I was like, oh, Warren Buffett. That or
Okay.
Jeff Bezos or the trillionaire Elon Musk. There's only a few of them.
There you go. Pretty much. So this fucking guy, dude, Warren Buffett, he actually sold his stocks on Apple to buy Google. Well, not for that specific reason, but I think he sold Apple not that long ago. But he instead is betting on Google. That's kind of crazy. Is Google undervalued?
In some ways, I think they could be. Everybody, can you look up their stock price right now for me? Since
Google.
you're driving, sorry.
Yes.
I think there was a
276.
fear for a second when ChatGPT came out. Can you do it like 6 months or year to date?
Yes.
Do year to date.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
It's still up,
but
40 fucking 5 though percent.
yeah, but there was a second for everybody that Google's cooked. They're over. ChatGPT is going to crush them, and I don't
Yeah.
think that's the case. I think everybody is not going to ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT day to day. I actually mapped it as the little action button. My action button now does ChatGPT, but I think what most people are doing is using AI mode in Google. They're doing the AI overviews. They're reading that. That's their interaction with it because
Can I show
their
you something?
trained behavior is that. Totally, go for it.
So I know what you're asking. I know what you're saying. Well, I was just using that myself. I asked Google MIT. Well, I didn't ask it, but I looked up MIT report on AI investing because I wanted to talk a little bit more on the bubble, and this is me using Google AI overview initially.
Because
Look
it
at
gives
that.
you the both worlds. I think where ChatGPT fails is it doesn't give you all the links. You have to like kind of press the little thing. Half the time it isn't in the right one. Google's like, oh no, we're still surfacing your information, and again, it's crawling the web and looking at websites like you and I would look at it. Versus, I
Yeah.
believe ChatGPT is not doing that. My understanding of it. So the amount of data and the amount of websites that are built in JavaScript and React are a majority of sites these days. Like they're all out there or they interact with it somehow. The data that they're probably getting by seeing it as a human versus seeing it as like a crawler is massive.
Yeah. So AI, and what was it? OpenAI, they got in trouble with Reddit because they were crawling all of their data, and Reddit is trying to sue them. Google doesn't have to fucking do that. It literally, and this is the monopoly part. They're never gonna admit it, but they control almost all the data. They can access it at will if they need it, right? And this is where they train their models, and that's amazing. I guess that's why. I mean, it was Bard, the first iteration of Gemini, which Bard sucked, like every other product that first
Terrible
releases.
fucking name also.
I kind of like it. That's just the AI. What's the D&D part of me? Because Bard is like a class
That's
where
fair.
you're kind of like.
Fair. Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I'm like, I think it was a cool name, but to a normal consumer, it'd be like, what the fuck does that mean? What is this? Which I was also, funny enough, agreeing with you there initially. But now it's Gemini, and it's a nice name. It kind of conflicts with me when I look at Gemini on Google, and I'm trying to get into the Gemini exchange on crypto. It pulls up Google Gemini first, and then Gemini Trust. But to your point, yeah, it's gone a long way, dude. Gemini is very likely going to be the best model for for quite some time. And here's the thing: foundational models are extremely hard to make because they require a lot of data, they require a lot of iteration, a lot of training, a lot of capital. You need a lot of infrastructure for that to train the model. It's incredibly hard. These companies can do it. They have almost the entire money that an AI startup would need. But talking about AI startups, I wanted to just read this report and kind of just close this off with the AI bubble thing. So this is from MIT, which some of you may have already seen. I'm not going to read it all. I'm going to read the first paragraph, which says, a recent MIT report found that 95% of companies failed to achieve a return on their investment in generative AI, with only 5% of initiatives reaching production deployment with sustained value. The primary reason for this include a lack of clear use case, failure to customize solutions for specific business problems and a preference for internal development over external partnerships. Companies that partner with AI vendors or focus on narrow, well-defined use cases like customer support or coding assistance are more likely to see success. And this is kind of like what you and I were talking before this call. We were kind of, so first of all, we're racing for social market, and we've kind of run into this problem where we're foremost a crypto company and also a security company now. I mean, we've kind of pivoted quite a lot more than we'd like to admit this year. And it's all just based on the markets, right? We're pretty flexible, but also we use AI. VCs, some angels that we've talked to, they want to see AI in a more specific kind of way. I don't want to mention any names, but we've talked to some people who have raised successfully, and their use cases are very explicit. AI for real estate, AI for note taking, AI for productivity. If you have the name AI on it and you can actually demo the app, which it should be easier now that you can vibe code it, you're pretty much ahead. And I know, Leon, you talked to one person who was able to raise far easier with talking about AI than when they were racing for crypto just a few years ago.
It's shift and this is why insane. I think in some ways there is a bubble. There was a bubble a little bit for crypto. NFTs were never going to take off. I think that they're now grounded and there's more use cases for them now. Everything's moving on chain. If you buy a house, you're going to get an NFT that assigns to you. Just like if you have a car, you get a title that's an NFT. I think there's some novel uses for that. But AI right now, it's like you join a meeting and you've got 7 fucking AI note takers. This is not sustainable. It's just not. And there's market corrections. The .com bubble was a totally different thing where there was just not companies that existed afterwards. Pets.com was a prime example, and I think the peak of it. Yep. But I think this is the same thing. Every single company has added AI. Every single company has pivoted. Airtable's a prime example. They're like an AI company now, and I'm just like, wait, what? How? They're building AI apps. I think, the biggest win for anybody out there is Zapier. They were kind of the infrastructure for automation, and now we utilize them. If you want anything to work with anything on the internet, you need an MCP server, and Zapier has one of the best out there. N8N has popped up that's pretty good. Make's out there, but I think there's a lot of companies that are just building overlays. They say that their stuff's agentic, but it's not agentic. It's just a chat, overlay. There's some stuff that's getting really good, but I saw many people on Twitter say, hey, if you're doing an AI company, you should innovate on it. So if you're a lawyer and your whole company is just run by agents, that's what people want to invest in, because it's just an AI and a lawyer company. I'm thinking, think LegalZoom, but with just all AI. That's a huge thing. But I don't think that's going to be the solve for everything. You're not going to have one employee and 1,000 agents. You're probably, instead of having 10,000 employees, you're probably going to have 1,000 employees, doing a lot more. What does that mean for people and, jobs and percentages? Tech just laid off a ton. I think the economy is trying to wrestle with all of that, just like the economy wrestled with what's happening in 2000 with the internet. It was changing everybody's lives. I just think there's a lot of wrestling with what is happening.
I think unemployment is closer to it's definitely above 10%, which is insane. We are in stagflation, as they call it. Inflation is high, GDP growth is negative, unemployment is high. That is stagflation. And it sucks. We're going to feel the effects probably next year, dude. I mean, once this bubble pops, it's going to be catastrophic. But final note on the whole AI crypto bubble, different respective bubbles, right? So we mostly talk about AI bubble, but let me kind of just paint the picture a little bit better on how big the crypto bubble was, which a lot of people don't really acknowledge because they don't really know much. So 4 years ago, this NFT was worth almost 500 ETH, and today it's worth less than 0.1. And it sucks. I actually like this NFT collection. It's Invisible Friends.
Oh, Invisible
What's
Friends,
that?
not Doodles. Yeah, Invisible Friends. I love it. I think it's great design and everything, but it's just like Crypto Apes or the one that's busted, Invisible Friends.
Yeah, so this is the collection. Are you talking about like Bored Apes, like the monkeys everyone
Bored
hated?
Apes. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, dude. Man, it's kind of tragic, like seeing all of this. I mean, it's market correction. You're always gonna have those, no matter what, and that's what we've seen with Bitcoin, and well, not with Bitcoin, but we've seen with crypto. I think Bitcoin is gonna continue to go high. I don't know when, I don't know why or how, but the scarcity is a big component to it. It's more scarce than gold, and more people are gonna buy it. But yeah, I mean, Bored Apes, these fucking things. Man, I think, and let's pull up some data actually. So about, or no, we can see it right here. Uh, OpenSea had a redesign, and it's a little confusing right now.
Yeah,
But
it's like you move the forks around in your house and you can't find the forks.
exactly. So there's over 5,000 owners. Half of them are unique, which is interesting. I don't know. Let me know what you think on that. But only 3.4% are listed, and the top offers right now is about 6 ETH, which is about $18,000. Dude, I know when people were buying these things for millions, and now it's like less than 10% of that, which is insane.
It was a bubble that I don't think anybody. Well, I think a lot of people thought it was a bubble, but I don't know if any of the people buying it thought it was a bubble.
This is where I've had a learn. So I'm 28, and the first bubble that happened in my lifetime was the dot-com bubble, but I was like an infant. I didn't know shit. I was just shit in my diapers. And then in 2008 was the house mortgage crisis, or the housing crisis.
Yeah.
I was playing with my Legos in that time, dude. I was watching Star Wars, Clone Wars. I was doing all that stuff, and I think, well, there's this meme with YC where they're hiring younger and younger kids, or people, which is nice. But there was this viral video that went popular on Twitter where it was God, I think it was like the kid was not older than 3 years old, and he was already like talking about, this is how you can get on YC. How about you first learn how to wipe your own ass before you can talk about how to get into YC? But the point here is I think the crypto bubble with the NFT bubble that we saw was my first adult bubble where I can be like, okay, no, so this is kind of how things are. People will, this new thing that's trending will come out, and then people are gonna oversell it. They're gonna think it's gonna change the world, and it's gonna only go up. That's how it is. And then people realize, oh, this thing sucks. It's not as good. It's not gonna solve my problems, or it's not gonna make me infinite money. Boom. People sell. People stop selling it. They stop talking about it. It just goes to shit. And that's kind of what we saw with NFTs. And this is kind of like what we're seeing with AI. A lot of people right now think AI is going to replace jobs. There's this famous article that came out about Amazon laying over 13,000 employees just because of AI. But it's not because AI is going to replace their job. It's because they were instead allocating that money that would go from 13,000 employees or so into their own AI infrastructure, because they could make more money on the AWS side instead of, putting that money to their employees, which still sucks. But AI is not directly replacing people. And there's still some hallucinations. I think AIs have come a long way since 2022. But
Yeah.
I mean, one more thing I'll say is I made this post and it had one like. So if you guys want to like it, give it a like. So this is kind of what I talked about. I said consumers don't actually care about AI. They care about outcomes. Gen AI, computer vision, automation, robotics, large language models, etc. are not the same. Gen AI gets the hype, but automation gets the attention. People gravitate to AI when it removes friction, saves times, or handles the boring stuff. There is more value, value over novelty every time. That's kind of what I wrote, and that's kind of like my interpretation, what I've learned about all these bubbles that we've seen, where, hype is just not going to last forever. Retention happens when there's value actually given. In AI right now, if we can automate the boring stuff, things that we don't want to necessarily handle or don't care about as much, that's where AI is going to come into use. For instance, we use AI to do market research for our next few episodes. It saves me a shit ton of time. As someone who barely has time to eat, sleep, like I'm very sleep deprived in general because I'm working a full time job, I'm building a startup. I gotta make sure my dog doesn't die on me, so I gotta take care of her. I gotta spend time with my fiance. I gotta barely make some time for my friends in between. I am so fucking busy. I don't want to spend more of my time doing market research. I'd rather just be able to get the stuff that matters as soon as I can. And that's where AI comes in. And that's why I pay for OpenAI, I pay for Claude. And I mean, yeah, I also could pay for N8N to automate some of my workflows. But that's the general message that I want to leave
Yeah,
everyone
we'll
with.
we'll see. Like, I think AI is gonna have a bust a little bit. Some of these companies that are building on top of the big ones are gonna go away, and I think if some of these go away, you're not gonna, like the amount of credits that are being bought right now, like
Dude. Oh, wait.
it's just crazy. Like, do you want to talk about real quick too the Sam Altman bailout? Like, I don't understand
Yes.
what's happening there. I just know that there was a meme online.
Okay. So, real quick, TLDR, Sam Altman came out doing some press releases, some marketing, or not marketing, but much more like interviews. Uh, he was pushing for the government backing OpenAI's debts amid shutdown, which it drew a lot of criticism on X. And this is, I asked Grok, like, hey, give me some context. So I'm going to read it for you. Again, people were criticizing him asking that on the government to relieve some of OpenAI's debts, which is basically saying, hey, bail me the fuck out.
Yeah.
This was ironic for a tech billionaire seeking socialist style aid. So a lot of, and I don't want to get too political, but it's a lot of people push this idea that socialism is bad. But right now, what we're seeing, and we saw it in 2008, we have corporate socialism, which means the government will bail you out at no extra cost, and they don't even ask for anything in return, which is just bad business. Um, and I have a couple of posts that I can refer to if you'd like, but that's the general premise of it.
No, that makes sense, and I think if the government does bail them out, they need to take equity. Like,
Dude,
this is,
absolutely, dude.
Bernie Sanders was really big on this, and the irony is Trump is the one who implemented it with Intel and others. Like, I think if we bail out any of these companies, us, the taxpayers, should benefit. The United States is an extreme amount of debt. It's not sustainable. Like,
Yeah.
in the end, it's just not. The only thing that's backing it up right now is the warships that move around this world. And I think if we want to see this stuff progress, like, we can't let these private companies just take advantage of that. We should probably forgive their debt in the end, because unfortunately, if you don't, they could go belly up, and it's going to take the whole U.S. economy. Just like 2008, if you let these things that are too big to fail, it would have sent us into like a depression. Like the government has so many things to stop another Great Depression, and we're hurtling towards so many problems. And one of them is if the United States dollar just falls, it's a problem. But if Sam Altman wants to be bailed out, he needs to give up equity, and he needs to give up significant amount of equity. Is that worth something? Who knows? Like, again, OpenAI is pushing this forward. Like, Microsoft is spinning up nuclear reactors to power data centers. Like, there is a problem right now with how do they power all of this in this world.
I think it's very real what they're building. They have in their last reporting, or in their last I guess town hall, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Sam Altman reported almost 1 billion people using OpenAI, or ChatGPT, which is like 800 million, the exact number around that ballpark. That is a real business, and that is a real amount of traction. I wish 8 billion people, or 8 million people were using social market, right?
Yeah.
And the same could be said. A lot of businesses want that many people. So I think what they build is not vaporware. I think they build a very tangible, very useful, productivity tool. But asking for a bailout, dude, you're shooting for the moon. You need to be ready to have the conversation of like, what can I give back to the taxpayers and the government that is going to bail me out. Because this conversation was very different in 2008 from what it seems. Again, I don't know, being a kid, right? In 2008, but
Yeah, eating some Legos and snorting nickels, probably.
no, dude, I was snorting glue, dude. That was the thing. So,
Explains a lot.
you know, oh, absolutely. So, the thing is banks, when they got bailed out, they didn't give shit back.
Real quick, small amendment to your thing. The U.S. Treasury did disperse I think $450 billion. I believe they got 95% of that money back.
Wait, what do you mean?
They were repaid on those bailouts.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because the Treasury is the one who bailed it out. It's the same thing as Argentina. Argentina is the $20 billion that they gave is it's a weird currency swap system where they bail out the country and then essentially the Treasury will get that money back at some point. But a lot of this stuff is an odd move of money. It's the same thing
Kind of
with
like
the
the
Ukrainian
whole,
war. Yeah, the
kind of like that
Ukrainian war,
whole
all the
AI
stuff
one,
that were, yeah, essentially exactly that bubble.
that
But
chart.
Ukrainian war is the same thing. Every missile we give, we essentially get money back for it, but it's in a later date.
Okay, so it's not like we're just giving the money, no strings attached. That's crazy. Um,
Yeah, in many ways there are strings attached, but they have to do it. It's um, the bailouts did not address the underlying issues that led to the crisis, but it resulted in a moral hazard, or risk of financial, future excessive risk taking by financial institutions. There's a weird thing, but public perception is that bailouts were a net positive, in there, all of that, but there was bonuses paid to bank executives, general feeling that no one was held accountable, which is why this bailout is that moral, part. Same thing with Sam Altman. If he gets bailed out, he's probably going to take a bonus. He's going to take more equity. No, you should put all of these tools in front of them to stop that. But also that was some of the laws that was passed after 2008 that Trump has actually repealed for the most part, to protect the American people from big banks over lending and doing fractional things that just caused all this. But that money was all paid back in that bailout. I don't know about the car companies if they were
okay.
paid out. I know Ford didn't take money, but I think GM and all of that inevitably took money that inevitably Stellantis bought most of those brands, Chrysler, all Jeep, all of that. So did that one help? Probably not. But many of those banks would have gone under. I think there were 6 banks in total.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Well, there goes my argument. You
Yeah.
you probably framed it much better than I would, so I appreciate that. Great, man. I mean, anything else?
No, let's do the wrap on it.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Great. Well, thanks so much for watching. This has been Social Market. Excuse me. This has been Social Ledger Report with JR, founder and CEO of Social Market, and Leon, CMO of Social Market. And make sure you like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to keep watching this kind of stuff. If you disliked it for whatever reason, give it a dislike. And yeah, this has been.
Leave a comment too if you disliked it. I want to know why you disliked it. Don't
Yeah.
leave me wondering.
And if you actually stayed this long to watch it, thanks so much. Let us know what you think. Yeah, we'll see you in episode 29 next week. Take care.